هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
أنه يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف الواحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتمة.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. يسرني في هذه الحلقة السادسة أن من برنامج اللغة الإنجليزية لطلاب وطالبات المستوى الثاني، وكذا من قسم الدعوة في كلية الدعوة والإعلام، وكذلك طلاب وطالبات المستوى الرابع في قسم الشريعة في كلية الشريعة. وهذه هي الحلقة السادسة. This is the sixth session. We review what we talked about before when we were talking about how to specify locations, especially on page 82. We talked about this. Now we are going to have more preposition or prepositional phrases that to specify other places or the other locations from where we are. We need these prepositions to use especially when we want to locate places, shops, the streets in towns and everywhere. We call these spatial prepositions. Look at the book, page 84, and look, I'm reading with you. Says use prepositions to show locations. Use prepositions to show locations. It means that to show where other things related to other places. We have the across from. It means that the other side of the place that you are in. Around the corner, something that around the corner يعني بعد على الزاوية. Behind means خلف. Between, when something between two things يعني بين. In front of بالمقابل بالجهة المقابلة من. Next to بعد. On, most we use on when we say that this shop is on, let's say the 5th street, or name this on the street. It means at the side of that street. We say on the left, so we know that at the left. On the right is on right. We have on the left of. So when we have two things, one next to the other, and we have on the right of, it's just the opposite of the on the left of. It means sometimes when you are on a place or specifying a place, and then you can say that this one on the left of that place or on the right of the other place. We have here reviewing, specifying locations by using prepositions and phrases. These are the ones we are dealing with. Here, the other point that we are going to talk about, writing a short paragraph describing the following using the phrases there are, there is, there was, and there were. These are the there are and there is, there was, there were. We talked about these when we want to specify things, whether it's singular, مفرد, or plural when it's جمع. And when we use there is or there are, it means in the present time, يعني في الزمن المضارع. We use there was and there were when we talk about something in the past and it is not exist anymore. يعني شيء كان في الماضي وانتهى. And we use there is when we talk about something singular, and we use there are when we talk about plural things. There are trees, there are books on the table, for example. look at this. How can we write on number 2 on page 84, write short paragraph that describes one of the following places. The first place, that part of the street in your neighborhood or city. Mostly we use this when we are on a place and we want someone to come to that place. So we say, we give them description. We use this in Arabic. So we have the same thing. We can use this to describe the places on where we are, or where we want to meet someone on that location. So yes, we use this a lot. And the best example for this, just the previous page, page 83, where we have, you see that on the pictures, we have the road and we have stores on the left and the right of the stores. So imagine yourself that in one of these places and the other person in the other place. So if you call him or call her and then said, you are in this location, so how can he or she reach you? In this case, we need to find a way that to give them the description where we can use the prepositions that we just talked about. This is one thing that mostly we use this kind of description describing places on the streets. The other topic that we might talk about is your bedroom. What's the difference between number 1 and number 2? Number 1, mostly we have big places and people have to walk to reach that place. But in your bedroom, so you can give full description of your bedroom. For example, you say that when you enter the room, you have something on the right hand corner, and there is something next to this, and on the opposite side we have couches, for example, we have chairs, we have sofas, we have a desk. So you describe the place. So you describe the classroom. Mostly you can use even describe the students. You can say that the student sits next to so and so, that person, يعني هذا يجلس بجنب هذا, or this person sits in front of someone, or this student sits between this student and the other student, or this student sits at the beginning, the first row, or opposite to the professor or the teacher. So we use these things and in the classroom, and as I said, we can use this kind of description to describe the things related to each other in your bedroom in number 3. And we have number 4, your favorite room in your home. Imagine that you don't want to talk about your bedroom, your office, your dining room, so any room that you like, that maybe sitting in there, or sometimes just you like, the names of the materials in that room. Next we have, as I said, that a street in your town. You can describe this, learn from the text on page 83 that we talked about, and you might describe your classroom, your bedroom, and other places. The other point that we have, writing topics. Since we are talking about, we talked about reading and understanding, so it's important that to talk about something about writing topics. In this exercise, you are going to learn how to write the following examples of the texts that we studied. So here it's good that when you want to write, mostly it's good to learn from the readings that we studied. So we continue the writing. And in fact, the topics are related in this unit. Mostly we are describing the places, locations, mostly business. So here we learn from the letter of Young He to Sophia. The letter that Sophia wrote to her friend describing the location. It's good that to learn from that letter, and we can describe other places the way that that person described. In fact, each text that we studied, whether it's just a normal text or just some kind of advertisement or statistics, we get some benefit and we can learn from these things. The other thing, is your city or town a good place to live? Write a paragraph learning from the advertisement on page 69. On page 69 we have kind of advertisements that just the points, it's not the text, it's the written that the normal way, it's kind of advertisement encouraging people to come to that place, so they put just points, they are not sentences. But in writing, you can learn from these points, put these in sentences and saying that this place is good for people to live because this place has this and this and that. Or this place is good for business because we have these facilities and these places, these things that help people to grow their business. The other thing that we discussed in this book is the large business and small businesses where they are competing with each other. Here, write a paragraph showing your attitude towards each of them. Here, we learn from the captain's call, the text that we studied earlier. In here, in fact, that text shows the competition between these two businesses, the large businesses and small businesses, and you can put your attitude in this. So whether you prefer the large business because they have, I don't know, varieties, everything that you want, or you think that it's good that to support the small businesses to grow and to help people in your community. So it's up to your attitude toward that place. Now we move to the field work, page 85. In this we have we can collect information by asking questions, and just if we put the answers of these questions, we get some information, and after we getting the information, we can put the information together and write a kind of paragraph showing what is in the interview. Let me read with me. Interview the owner or an employee of a family-owned business. We talked about family-owned business, which is the small businesses. Here it says, write down the answer to these questions. So these questions are the questions that you are going to ask a person. So if you don't have a regular person, you might imagine that this person, or you can do this with your classmate or the partner in this class. So because the goal of this that to help you to write good information in good or correct sentences. Let's go to this. What is the name of the business? So first thing that you ask the person, what is the name of the business? So at least what kind of business that they have. B, what kind of business is it? So first we have the name of the business, the kind of business, that whether it's selling perfumes, electronics, construction, or any other places. C, is it a small business or is it a small business or a large business? Here now we need to specify the kind of business, if it's a chain business or local business where it has just small places. D, what year did you open the business? So the date that that person established his business. D, and then we have E, has your business changed since it opened, and how? Here, this is in fact a good question that to ask the people whether first of all we know whether it's chain business or small business, and whether this business grows or loses business, and of course how that the other person will explain this, and this explanation will help you to specify the others. We have F, is there any competition with other businesses? Definitely when people have same business, mostly that they have kind of competition, and sometimes it's I don't know, it's either good competition or it's not that good, and which that place. We have G, do you like working here? Why or why not? So this is another question that you ask the owner or the employee whether they like to work in that business. If they say yes, then they have to tell why. If they say no, then they have to tell why. And this is good information that you add to the information that you are collecting. And you can add your questions, in fact either question or questions, if you think that you need to elaborate or explain more questions. And on the page 86 here we read together number 2, write one paragraph about this business using the information you collected. Okay, so you had the questions, you asked the people who own the business or who are employees in that business. So collecting the information is not a paragraph, is not writing. So arranging the information, writing the information in full sentences, starting with capital letter, ending with a period or question mark or exclamation mark, the sentences, then these are the sentences. So when you write just the information that you collected, read them, revise them, and then you will have some information that mostly you can talk about or read the writing in front of the classmates or in front of others. So this is a good thing that to start when you collect the data, analyze the data, write what you collected. In fact, in this case, mostly we do this by when we ask people some questions, we paraphrase, يعني نعيد صياغة what we asked, and then we write this in our own way of writing. Number 3, share your paragraph with a partner. Read your partner's paragraph, then answer these questions. Sharing or what's called peer reviewing is very good and very healthy in writing paragraphs, because sometimes when you write something you think that you wrote it the right way, but when you get the feedback from the partner, regardless whether that person is like is better than you or less than you, then it's okay. But the most important thing that you get the feedback. Here, when we talk about the questions, have in mind these questions. Did the writer indent the first line of the paragraph? What does that indentation mean? To indent something. So indent is the first spaces that, if you use the computer, the first spaces that the first 5 spaces that shows that the first line is a little bit going inside the page rather than the other pages. This is really important in showing the numbers of the paragraphs if you want to write more than a paragraph. And if you are writing just one paragraph, then we see that it is a paragraph because just we have one indented line. So indentation is important. Did the writer use margins correctly? Yes, this is another thing that is important, that to fix the left margin in writing in English and leave the right margin unfixed. So you can use this using the computer, or you can just show the others that you start every line from the beginning of the same line that you write the lines before. So people, when they look at your paragraph, they see that the first margin is fixed and the left margin is fixed and the right margin is not fixed, and they know that this is a paragraph because we have one indented line. Did you have one question about the? Do you have one question about the business that the writer did not include in the paragraph? Write it in here. So yes, you might have when you review the others' questions or writing here, you might suggest that they need to include important information because it's important to the reader. And in this case, I think it's good that to listen to the partner and fix the what you think is need to be fixed. By this time, we conclude the Unit 5, where we focused on vocabulary, on business, and we talked about different kinds of texts, and we get some of the vocabulary that we in fact need to learn, and we learned some of the uses of where we can say specify places related to each other, and where we can use there is when we talk about singular or non-count nouns. يعني when we talk about the المفردة، الأسماء المفردة أو الأسماء غير المعدودة، and in fact in the present time يعني في الزمن المضارع. And we use there are, when we talk about plural things like books, students, teachers, pages, yes, anything that is plural, then we use there are. We use this is what we talked about when we use there was, when something was exist يعني كان في الماضي and it's not exist anymore, والآن it's not in there. So we use this there is, and we use there are when we talk about things. So more than one in the past, and they are not exist anymore. We conclude the 6th session of this, and see you in the following session, which is the 7th session, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
هناك مسائل عديدة جدا.
أنه يجوز إعطاء الزكاة لصنف واحد،
لأن رسالة محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام خاتمة.